Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is Starsector, and this is a game that's been around for quite a while, but it is not one that's available on Steam. You kind of have to go hunt for it a little bit. It's done by a single man shop, is my understanding. And he has a website where you can purchase the game, and it feels a little, I'm going to say greasy, I guess, initially. It reminds me a whole lot of buying games online like in 1998. It was you'd go to a website, you'd get a key, you'd want to copy the key down and keep it, and then you would plug that in and it would allow the game to work for you. So if you're interested in it, know that that is how it is done. It is not something you can grab off of Steam or anything like that. It has been considered to be in early access for literally years, and he continues to say he's working on it and it's not ready to be fully released yet. But the game is absolutely playable. It has been for, my understanding is several years. I picked it up about a year and a half ago. Absolutely loved it. But like most of the things I play, if you hang around, you know, I'm not actually very good at it. This one does have a certain twitch component to it that I do my best to avoid. I put the autopilot on when it comes to that, and I just kind of play fleet commander, and I don't really get involved in the individual battles very much. And that doesn't help me very much too, because I would say that on average, I probably would expect that a human would do better than the AI or the whatever you want to call it, the autopilot would for these battles. So we're going to go ahead and start a new game. My thought is here, this isn't going to be a full playthrough. I think you could play this game for hours and hours and hours and hours and change your mind on what you want to do with it. But I thought we could do several episodes where it kind of gives a feel for how the game works, some of the things you can do in it. It is fairly open, actually. We're going to get a good look at that. And one thing that's interesting is it is procedurally generated. So we're going to go and start a new game. And if you have the domain key that somebody else has, you can copy it in here. And you'll copy it from another game and hit paste. You can also paste it off, my understanding is, to like a text editor or something. And you can share it, and you will use the same universe as whomever you share that with, assuming the sector age and the sector size settings are the same. Now, I went ahead and to demonstrate that, went ahead and pasted one in from another game that I've been playing on, just to kind of reacquaint myself with the commands and the controls. I've spent all of about an hour and a half in the game in the last 2 weeks. So not exactly an expert here, but I thought I'd show you a good way to get started. And if you like what you see, have at it, enjoy it, and be well. Okay, so first we're going to pick a character to be. And really, it's just an image. We can do whatever we want. I'm going to pick this guy. I don't know. He looks kind of tough to me. And then we'll go ahead and I'm going to stick with my standard naming convention. Just to keep it simple. And I think we're going to go with Captain. You'll notice it says Luddic Walker. Luddic is a religious order in the game. And I think that it's basically the title they will call you by. That's kind of how I think that works. I am not going to go with Iron Mode. Because I'm not, and I might pay the price there. And in fact, I'm going to do something I normally don't do. We're going to kind of take it easy on this playthrough. The game is pretty tough, actually. And so we will want to, for purposes of demonstration, we're going to go with the easier end of the scale. I'm going to select out of this screen. I like the Explorer leading a salvage expedition from aboard an Apogee-class cruiser. It says faster start, and what that means, we're going to start with several ships at once, as opposed to a single ship that we have to go and collect others pretty regularly. And so this one works pretty well. Mercenary is also pretty good. The Hammerhead is a great ship. I like the Explorer leading a salvage expedition because I like the support ships that it gives you when you do that. We get a light carrier, we get a freighter, a tender, and a tanker. And we'll get $8,000. Also, a little bit outside of my norm, but just to make it easier to demonstrate things, we're going to go with easy. I have played on normal. The battles are harder. That's really what it comes down to. I'm sure there's other parts of the game that affects, but from what I've seen, it does make your battles a little bit harder. And finally, it is wise to go ahead and stay with the tutorial. The reason is it walks you through several phases of the game in the first, we're going to say first hour. I don't think we'll get through it all in one video, maybe two. It walks you through those, but it sets you up pretty well. And if you don't take the tutorial, you kind of start with a little less clarity on what's going on around you. And so I think this is a good way to get started. Also, it gives you some things you need to really excel at the game. Once you've gotten good at it, once you've played it for many, many, many hours, skipping the tutorial is definitely, that would be another notch up from the easy and normal is what that would be. So we're going to say is start with the tutorial and it will generate our universe. Now, I mentioned that this is a procedural universe, but that's not entirely true. It's mostly true. The core of the universe stays the same. There's a central, we'll see it shortly, but there's a center to it that's, I don't know, maybe 15 star sectors, or star systems rather. And then the outer rim, so to speak, the ones further from the center of the map, that is what is procedurally generated and will be different every time. I don't know if the core worlds always have a completely identical setup, but the starter worlds do. There's going to be like 3 or 4 that we visit off the bat. Those always have a station around a particular planet. I think they're static, but you get to the outer worlds, it becomes very, very different. I am going to do my best to paraphrase these, but we'll start by reading them out. Welcome to the Parisian sector. Your fleet is in the middle of nowhere and critically low on supplies. That becomes important. If you don't acquire more supplies, your fleet will suffer through a slow but ultimately fatal decline. Truth. So we're going to hit continue. Fortunately, there is a debris field nearby. We're going to move to it and scavenge. Scavenge is one of the commands we have. Make sure to take all the supplies and any other valuable cargo, but feel free to leave the cheap and bulky metals behind. To get your fleet moving, click on empty space. Yep, so we're going to finish this dialogue and we're going to look at this. So this is our map, basically, and we can zoom out a little bit in the tactical space to see a little more. As you can see, we have 4 or 5 ships, it looks like. I guess 5 ships, and this one being our main ship. Then these X's, those represent the debris field that it's talking about. You kind of see parts of it here. So we're literally just going to left click here and we will fly there. And that is all we had to do. We can press 6 to start salvaging. Well, let's go ahead and get to the middle of the field. Not that it matters much. We're touching the field. This will become lit up. It means we can use it. We're going to salvage. So we hit 6. Your fleet assumes a stable orbit relative to the debris field. The field appears stable and will not drift apart anytime soon. Long-range scans indicate it's likely something of value could be found inside. There are indications that what salvage is to be had may not be easy to get to, and there's significant risk involved in running a salvage operation. This is always true. We're going to go ahead and assess. Doesn't cost us anything to assess it. And what it's telling us is we're going to have to use 80 crew and 30 heavy machinery in order to run this salvage operation. And it basically is a 73% effective operation. So that's okay. That's not a great number, but it's not horrible. And then it shows us how it got to that number, basically. The density of the debris field affects both the amount of resources and the number of rare items found. And so this is basically calculating the density in a sense. Let's go ahead and say begin salvage operations because we need supplies. An accident during the operation has resulted in the loss of 6 heavy machinery. So this is not costing us 30 heavy machinery. It needs 30 heavy machinery to carry out the salvage, and the same of our crew. We're not losing 80 crew members. We need to have 80 crew members in order to do this. Now, we could have lost crew members as well, but in this case, we only lost machinery. So instead of 60, we currently would have 54 is what that's telling us. Then we're going to, and here you see that 54, right? So we lost 6, but this is what we found in salvage. We found 50 supplies. This is fuel. We found some fuel. We found 12 machinery. So we lost 6, but we've gained 12. So we're net plus 6. And then this is the metals that it was talking about that you can leave behind. But the thing is, all this fits in our ship right now. We have a couple of ships. We have a freighter. All of this will fit just fine. We're going to hit take all. And you'll notice it bumped us all the way up to 352 of our 785 allotment. Fuel went into the fuel slot. There wasn't any crew to grab, so that didn't change at all. And then we're going to hit confirm and continue. And the game will continue. It wants us to hit F5 to do a quick save and advance the tutorial. So we'll do that. Pressing F5. A pirate fleet is approaching. First, you'll spot it as a sensor contact, then as an unidentified fleet, and then when it gets close, you'll see its true colors. So this is our fleet right now. We have those 5 ships we talked about. These are fighters that we have, like fighter wings that are coming off the carrier. And then we also have a drone ship. So there's some drones. This is a drone tender. So there's some drones that'll be working for us as well. Now those tend to be mining drones is what it's saying there. So not going to be terribly effective in a battle, but we have them. So we're going to continue. Don't worry, the pirate ship is a shoddy rust bucket. And if you do lose, you can press F9 to reload. Fair enough. So we'll hit this, and even so, combat can be expensive. This is true. We'll learn more about that as we go. But basically, combat costs you supplies. That's the real big deal here. However, fighting is often necessary to survive. In this case, it kind of is. We don't really have an option. Here they come. This is an unidentified fleet. I'm going to pause it so we can see, and it looks like it's just one ship right now. If we look at that, he's got just the one ship icon there. The danger level is 1 star. That's the minimum level. And the maximum burn, that has to do with his maximum speed. We're currently doing 0. Our maximum is 8. We'd be able to outrun him if we wanted to, but we don't really want to. We're going to click up here and see if we start to move forward a bit. And as you can see, he'll chase us a little bit. And then we stopped. Oh, there he is. And we get the encounter. So he's a rogue miner. We have our forces. He has his. We don't know what he's going to deploy, but this is basically the tactical battle part of the game. The pirate ship maneuvers so that we can't get away very easily. Does not appear to be certain of our identity. Any hostilities will have a reduced impact on our reputation. Well, pirates are pirates. You know, it comes down to that. So we can open a comm link and try to talk to him. It's perfectly okay to do that. It's not going to come to anything. He basically tells us if a spacer steals food to feed his family, her comrades, they call it piracy. If that makes me a pirate, then I'd rather be a pirate than some poor tool saluting the phoenix. I guess the phoenix is a flag or something like that. So, all right, cut the comm link. Only option there. And then we can move into engage. We can attempt to disengage, or we can disengage by using a story point. That's what an SP is. We will get experience for using it, but we lose the story point. And initially, we don't have very many of those. So we're not going to do that. This is a battle we should win pretty easily. We do have a cruiser. He has a mining ship, right? He has a combat freighter. So he's a freighter that's got a couple of guns on it. That's what he's got. We're going to move into engage. That's really what it wants us to do. The opposing fleet moves in to join the battle. So we can transfer the command for this engagement. What that means is move it away from our flagship. We could set one of the other ones as the command ship and leave the flagship out of the battle. And that wouldn't be the worst idea because that ship is going to cost a lot to refit after a battle in supplies. It's going to cost us more than some of the other ones would. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and continue. You can select which ships to deploy, and that's what we're going to do right here. So I'm going to say dismiss, but you'll notice recovering combat readiness takes time and consumes valuable supplies. That is true. We'll go ahead, and this ship cost us 20 deployment points. We have 240 total, so we could deploy everything. We don't want to send out our light tanker. We don't want to set out our drone tender because its drones are not going to be effective. We could set out our combat freighter, which is probably lined up exactly with his in terms of capacity and capability. Pretty much almost the same anyway. They'd be an even fight. We have our light support carrier, and then of course we have our cruiser. Well, we're definitely going to include the cruiser. I think we'll go ahead and do the light carrier because it gives us some nimbleness to kind of wrangle the guy in. So we've got that done, and we're going to say deploy. We could hit deploy all, and everything would go, but in this case, we're just going to deploy. And here we go. This screen, there's two things happening here, and that's a little confusing, and I kind of struggle with this. You'll notice I've got this guy and this guy. This is my carrier, and this is my cruiser. And so that is tactical space, but overlaid on it right now is the strategic map. That's basically the extent of the battle area right now. It is bigger than this, but this is what we can kind of see. And then we have fog of war outside of our line of sight. And we are paused right now, so that's important to know. We have a couple of options. We can do absolutely nothing, or we can hit full assault or full retreat. Well, we're definitely not going to retreat. We have 5 command points. We're going to say full assault. Ordering a full assault will cancel all existing assignments and make your ships engage the enemy forces more aggressively. Well, that's okay. I think we're going to survive this one. Creating a new assignment other than eliminate or fighter strike will cancel this order. Toggling it off directly uses a command point. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. So we have full assault is on, and we're going to hit play. Now to get out of this, we hit tab, and that'll put us in this screen. You can see the carrier is deploying his fighters, and we can see the enemy there. And I'm going to pause. We've started shooting some missiles, and I don't think I'm in autopilot. Let me turn autopilot on. Autopilot is enabled. That's the U key for those of you like me that just aren't good at the navigation stuff. The controls on this, I'm not even going to begin, but basically W is accelerate, S is slow down, D and A are rotate, and that's why I really struggle with this. That just doesn't work in my head very well. So I have a lot of trouble with those, and that's why I put it in autopilot. So the ship will rotate, and you're not actually turning, you're spinning the ship, and that gets kind of weird. So that's me. You're welcome to play however it makes sense to you. Later we'll learn more about like linked auto fire and things like that, but for now I'm allowing the computer to do the work for me. Something we can do is come out here to the tactical map, and we can select our carrier, and we have different things we can tell it to do, basically, which includes assault. And that is right. Nope. I guess he is technically assaulting, so yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay, maybe we can't do that just now. Maybe we have to hit, that's what it is. We have to hit him, and then we can set him as a target, and we can say eliminate. And you'll notice we got arrows on both these guys, so both of them are going to work to eliminate him. Yeah, there we go. And we will tab and unpause. Space pauses you, by the way. And we can kind of see some of what's going on here. There's a few things to note. I disengaged autopilot. I just turned it back on. I'm going to pause. So enemies will show up with a diamond around them, or a rotated square, right? It's rotated 45 degrees. Our guys will have a square around them, and I think there are differences in the color. I do struggle with that, but I'm assuming he's red and ours would be green. We see him here. See, he's got the diamond around him, basically, and we've got squares. The shield is what we're seeing here. We've put up our shield, and that will absorb energy. It's basically an energy management game is what it comes down to. You do have hull points. Larger ships have more hull, smaller ships don't, but flux is the energy. And as you fire weapons, as you take hits on your shield, flux goes up. You eventually have to release all the flux to get rid of the heat. Think of it as like a heat buildup that you have to manage. So we're right in there. Those are our fighters, by the way, that are going crazy on him as well. If we can click on, can roll over them and see them. That's a friendly. That's a friendly. And they're a certain kind of fighter. I didn't pay attention to what he had armed, but ultimately that's what's going on there. And he's about done. He's finished. That's the end of the battle. And that one was really, really easy. You really shouldn't lose that first battle. And when we come out here, we get a synopsis of what happened. It does continue. The opposing fleet moves into join battle. That's where we were. Continue. Preliminary reports indicates 1 crew and no Marines were lost during the last engagement. So somebody did get killed. That's too bad. We had 489 crew. So we should be at 488 now. Your forces were able to gain a complete victory in the last engagement. Your forces were able to recover some combat readiness as they control the battle space and the engagement was limited. Excellent. We lost 3 points of relationship with the pirates. We're down to minus 68 out of 100. Top score is 100. Bottom score is effectively minus 100. Salvage crews were able to recover 557 credits, that's dollars, from CPU cores still active in the wreckage. That's great. This shows us we deployed 2 ships, we held 3 in reserve, and we destroyed his dude. That's what that's showing us. And then our only option is to pick through the wreckage, which is a good idea. And here are some of the supplies that we found. Now you'll notice we are down indeed to 488, so we did lose a crew member. We are over on, let me think about that for a minute. Yeah, scratch that. I didn't say that. These ships can hold 690 crew total. Okay, so we have these goods that we can take. We're going to go ahead and take everything. And again, we're only up to 378 of our space is used at this point. Fuel does not count towards your cargo space. It counts towards your fuel space. So do keep that in mind. And the system is smart enough that if you're exceeding it, it lets you know. We'll continue and we'll get the next prompt. Our fleet's consumption just went up, and that's true. Recovery, and that's listed right here. We're spending 9.3 supplies per day. The reason it has gone up is because we're in combat refit right now. We're repairing things, we're rearming, things like that. So that's going to use supplies. To reduce supply use, repairs and CR recovery on ships can be suspended from the fleet screen. We'll go ahead and open the fleet screen and talk about that real quick. So here is the fleet screen. These are all of our ships. We can have lots of ships, by the way. So know that. You'll notice I'm the only commander, I guess. This is me. These are empty, so they don't have captains assigned yet. We can hire captains to pilot specific ships. And pilots and us, it is kind of an RPG to some extent. We have skills that we can improve, and we'll talk about that in the very near future. But it said we could suspend repairs. If we click this, it'll suspend repairs on all the ships that need repair right now. And I think, well, the only ships that should need any repair is this one and this one, because those are the ones that were in battle. These should be just fine. If we suspend it, you'll notice we drop to 1.3 supplies a day. And that's basically your life support. You're always going to spend some points, but this is a fairly minimal amount of points to be spent. We do want to go ahead and fix things, though. You can see it suspended it. We can unsuspend just this one. It brings it up to 5.3 per day. And if we unsuspend that one, we're back to the 9.3. These guys we probably want to leave alone. We stay at 9.3, and that would have been the same as just hitting W. That turns them all off. That turns them all on. So that's what we're talking about there. This is the fleet screen. There are a few other items here. Since we've already talked about it, let's take a quick look at the map. Yeah, I'm kind of glad it didn't give us another pop-up here. So this is the star system that we are currently in, and we're basically trying to get to, where are we trying to get to? Here, Ancira. Okay, that's where we're kind of headed. That's where the tutorial is going to take us. Just to get some of the nomenclature down on the map, this is a star. There can be more than one star in a system. This is like a nav beacon. It's a comm relay. I'm sorry, this one's a comm relay. This is a station next to a planet. This is a warp point, or a jump point is another thing it's called. This is something we don't necessarily know what it is. In this case, it says it's the Galatia Gate, and it's got a debris field around it. This is a debris field. They always look like 3 X's. Another jump gate. Another station. This is a stable location. If we wanted to deploy something, we could deploy it there. That's what that's kind of telling us. And as you can see, there is a lot of space that isn't in use right now. We could fly way over here if we wanted to. No reason to do that. Finally, another planet and station orbiting it. This is an independent, is it? Yeah. The station is independent anyway. It's independent. This station is run by I've always said hegemony. You're just going to have to deal with it, folks. It's the way it comes out for me. My friend says hegemony, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to look that up. It's never really occurred to me to think about that at that level. And then this is a pirate base, basically. Now this is kind of important. This is an asteroid belt. By the way, there's another barren planet world out here called Tetra. Okay, so there's a planet here, and a planet here. This is an asteroid belt, as I started to say. We will pass through the asteroid belt, and there is an effect to that. It will give us a little tutorial on that as we do it. Let's get out of here and continue. We have to press F5 to continue, and we'll go to one more step of what's going on here. We've gained a level. We gain 1 skill point with each level up and an additional point at the start of the campaign. So we now have 2 skill points, basically. You also gain story points as you gain experience. These can be used to take exceptional actions to make your own story in a way. The tutorial will introduce using these a bit later. So the story points are important. You noticed when we engaged with the rogue miner, it gave us the ability to spend a story point to basically disengage entirely. And it is 100% effective, but it isn't permanent. He could chase us down and catch us again if he's faster than us. In this case, he wasn't. So we would have been fine. But that is one way you can spend them. Another way is there are times when you're going to find ships that you can repair. Sometimes you don't need to spend a story point, but sometimes they're messed up enough that a story point is necessary to get them. And that can be very, very valuable and important. So you do want to kind of keep your story points close to the vest. You don't want to just spend them because you have them. We're going to continue, and it's telling us what we can do. Maximum level is 15, and with each level we get to pick a skill is basically what it's saying. Skills can affect our piloted ship, all combat skills, and a few skills in other aptitudes. Some can be made elite at the cost of a story point. That can be important as well. Continue again, and then press C to open the character tab and consider your options. You don't have to actually spend the points now if you don't want to. We're going to go ahead and do that. And I have here's what I like to do. Initially, I like to take industry. This first one doubles our cargo capacity. I'm sorry, it doesn't double. It increases it by 50%. So we can increase the amount of stuff we can carry. That can be very important when you're scavenging because that equals money. So I'm going to take that one. That's 1 point. Then I also like to take this one, and it makes our salvaging more efficient is what it does. By the way, this also increases our maximum fuel capacity and our maximum personnel capacity. Those are all very, very important. This one will allow us to, basically, when we salvage, we get more stuff. And we like that. You'll notice less chance of crews lost in non-combat operations. There's more post-battle salvage, and there's more resources. Those are all good. There are other themes you can go. You can take combat. You can have helmsmanship, which adds to your maneuverability. That is a really good one. I do take that a lot as well. We have leadership, which basically gives us some tactical advantages, particularly with multiple ships. Then we have technology, things like navigation, 30% terrain movement penalty from all applicable terrain. So the terrain they're talking about are things like meteor fields or novas, things like that. And that can be very important as well. We also get the ability to do a traverse jump. That can be extremely helpful and is one that we will eventually want to take. You'll also notice that these are kind of segmented off in groups. And that is because you can't get one of these in second tier until you have 4 of these, for instance. And it tells you that when you roll over. It's right there at the bottom of right here on the screen. It says requires at least 4 lower tier skills. Same is true on these. Requires 3, requires 4, requires 1, requires 2, requires 4. And then these are actually not requiring. Oh, we already meet the obligation. We turn that off. These require 1. So we'll pick that one up. Ordnance expertise. This is +1 flux dissipation. So flux is that kind of heat buildup, and we can disperse that more quickly is what this would be. So that would not be a bad thing. Helmsmanship is good. You have combat endurance. Your ships can only maintain their maximum efficiency for a certain amount of time in battle, and that affects that. etc. So you're welcome to look through here, pick whatever you want. For what we're doing right now, I'm just picking these two. I think that is my best bet, and then I confirm by hitting this. There we go. And then to exit out, we can hit character again or press C, or I think you can hit escape. Escape will take us out. There we go. Now, the next step is shortly after dispatching the pirates, we receive a tight beam from Ansira, and basically they want us to get there. That's what this is. We will pick that up in the next episode. This is Starsector, and this is kind of a walkthrough for people who haven't seen it, and maybe a minor beginner's guide, ways to get to the beginning of the game and get into the meat of it. I do thank you for joining me with this. I'm going to plan on trying to have maybe 10 episodes or so of this, and then we'll see how it goes. If it's something that's really, catching on and people are excited about it, maybe we'll do more of a playthrough. But as of now, it's going to be kind of a limited series is what I'm planning for the time being. Time will tell. Again, thank you for your time, and until next time, fair travels.